Good morning, everyone. I'll go ahead and call us to order. I got 9:30 on the clock. Will everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is approval of minutes starting July 14th, 2022. Are there any minutes? Hearing none, if there's no objection, those are approved. Next is the minutes for July 21st, 2022. Are there any minutes? Hearing none, if there's no objection, those are approved. Next on the agenda is approval of requisitions for August 4th, 2022 in the amount of $53,260. If there's no objection, that's approved. Next on the agenda is the approval of accounts payable starting with July 28th, 2022 in the amount of $72,055.78. There's no objection, that is approved. Next is accounts payable for August 4th, 2022 in the amount of $544,645.25. There's no objection, that is approved. Next is manual checks for July 29th, 2022 in the amount of $1,071,463.85. There's no objection, that's approved. Next is manual checks for August 5th, 2022 in the amount of $37,219.46. There's no objection, that's approved. Next is approval of payroll for July 22nd, 2022 in the amount of $280,390.93. There's no objection, that is approved. Are there any announcements or changes to the agenda?
So I'd like to bring to your attention, we sent out an email, I think Tuesday, just to let you know, number 2, the agenda item, part of that was withdrawn. It's the auto insurance claim. Obviously, that was withdrawn, please. And we also received, I think, a couple of emails and Commissioner Jackson. I think the state auditor would like to do his presentation at 10 a.m. And right now we have him as new business, so just to bring that to your attention.
Yep, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
There's nothing else. We can move on to public comment. If you're online, please raise your hand. I'll get to you. Please remember there's only 3 minutes per person. The first name I have on my list is Mark or Morrow. If someone please state your name for the record and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Mark Petitpierre, and I'm here to talk about that picture, okay? Those so-called explanations of that pic doesn't whitewash. They don't work. It's typical whataboutism that tries to justify a hate symbol that denotes white power by comparing it to the OK symbol and the number 3 emergency response unit. Bringing up the issue of reforming those units is nothing but deflection and trying to confuse the issue at hand. The bottom line is there's never been an apology for displaying that symbol in public or taking responsibility for that act or repudiation of what that symbol and what those Proud Boys stand for. If the pic was truly innocent, a heartfelt apology would have settled the matter at the onset. At the very least, that commissioner and the commission, as our representative body, also need to denounce the Proud Boys as treasonous and white supremacy as being racist. At this point, those actions would not be possible as they would be completely lacking in credibility. So, you resign, all you fascist, racist traitors to our democracy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next I have is David Tabb.
David Tabb, Jefferson County lifelong resident, taxpayer. I've reviewed the special minutes or special session for July the 14th with the ARPA disbursement of $1.9 million. Your accountant couldn't even get the descriptive amount correct. There's a discrepancy of $25,976 within that minutes that you just approved. I don't consider that chump change. You still haven't decided how you're going to handle $20,000 in interest that you've received. How is it brought in? How is it dispersed? I just had a meeting with Ms. McCuskey, with the auditor's department. I have a packet for him that I'll give him shortly. Within that is the FOIAs on the large amount of money, each one separately, asking, where's the documentation of bidding process, announcements, competitive bids, who opened them, who structured it, how this money is going to be dispersed, is there any type of warranty, is there a bonding process? You go over and work on a project for $1 million to develop land, guess what the first thing you have to do upon the application? You have to be bonded. Why should it be any less for you guys? You're throwing this money out like it's candy. It's taxpayers' money. It's not free money. Somebody's got to pay this back. Who's going to pay it back? One, I'm already paid it. I've paid for it, millions of dollars. But I'm not going to sit here and let this money be wasted when my kids and grandkids and their kids are going to have to pay all this stuff back. You have to be accountable. And this tragedy with the volunteer fire companies has got to end. People will die. It's going to be on your all's backs. I'm going to make sure it's been posted. You need to straighten up, please. Our community needs it. We need you in a better sense of responsibility.
Just anybody raise their hand online? Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else in the room that'd like to make public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll move, or public comment is closed. We can move to agenda item number 1. It's Ms. Angie Banks. Approval of documents.
Good morning. I do have exonerations today. The first one, put it out. The first one is in our 2022 personal property book. The taxpayer did not own the 2012 Chevy Cruze July 1st, 2021. Assessed value $2,200, tax amount $52.44. Applicant is Nicole White, ticket number 304431.
I move to approve exoneration, ticket number 304431.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This next one is in our 2021 personal property book, Middleway District. Taxpayer did not own the 2010 Chevy Cobalt or the 2007 Toyota Camry, July 1st, 2020. Assessed value $2,600, tax amount $63.16. Ticket number 312904.
Move to approve exoneration, ticket number 312904.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2022 personal property book, Charlestown District. The taxpayer owned a 75 smoker boat, but was assessed for a 94 BUJ boat. So the assessed value difference is $500. Tax amount is $12. Applicant is Michael Bodmer, ticket number 300703.
I move to approve ticket exoneration number 300703.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2021 personal property book, Harpers Ferry District. The taxpayer did not own a 2018 Ford. He did own a 2015 Ford, so a new bill was made up on the 15. The 2018 Ford was assessed at $13,700, tax amount $332.80. The applicant is Carroll Contracting, Alec Carroll, ticket number 309155.
Move to approve ticket number 309155.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2022 personal property book. Applicant did not own the 2014 Hyundai Elantra, July 1st, 2021. The assessed value was $2,800. Tax amount $79.98. Applicant is David and Vivian Fields. Ticket number 305472.
Move to approve exoneration ticket number 305472.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In our 2022 personal property book, Harpers Ferry District, a 2001 Chrysler was assessed in error. It should have been a 2001 Chevy. Assessed value difference $600. Tax amount $14. Applicant is Christine Dole. Ticket number 307327.
Move to approve exoneration ticket number 307327.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2022 personal property book, Charlestown District. The taxpayer had reported a 2020 Toyota 4Runner, but it was actually traded in on a 2021 Toyota 4Runner. The assessed value $18,200, tax amount $433.74. Applicant is Donald Smoot, ticket number 303912.
Move to approve ticket number 303912.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2022 real estate book, Charlestown District. Applicant Suzanne and Daniel Dillo should have received their homestead on the new property that they purchased. The assessed value is $20,000, tax amount $238.32, ticket number 2249.
Move to approve exoneration ticket 2249.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
This one is in our 2022 real estate book, Charlestown District. The tax class was erroneously changed. The assessed value is $16,100, tax amount $191.85. Applicants are Stephen and Shelley Rozakis, ticket number 5829.
Move to approve exoneration ticket 5829.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, that's all my exonerations. I'm now on approval of part-time temporary employment. Anna Park. She did start on Monday and at $16 an hour. She is a student at WVU. And anyway, I would just like your approval. Normally I have like 3 part-time getting paid out of the general fund, and I was down to 1.
And her name's Anna Park, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
And $16 an hour?
Yes.
I'll move to approve the part-time help for Anna Park for $16 an hour.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I have a request for a consolidation by a taxpayer, John Maxey. he asked us to deactivate parcel 11 and consolidate with parcel 15. And it is where he lives. It's right next, it's right beside it, but it's different deed books. And I told him he would lose his deed book reference, so I would bring it to you, so it would be in your minutes that these lots were consolidated. And the legal description, it's Cabletown District, map 8F, parcel 15, river section 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the one that was added to 5, 6, 7, and 8, John Brown Farm.
Well, since I can't remember all the details that the assessor just
Yeah.
gave us on the numbers, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the merging that is requested by the taxpayer, John Maxey and Teresa Chiotis, River Section 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, John Brown Farm.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion?
Is that enough information to make it do what we want it to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he wants to get one tax bill, and it's all in class 2 anyway.
Makes sense.
I think our intent is known.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Two. Next, Ms. Sheriff.
Chair, I both apologize, couldn't be here this morning. We had an active shooter training. So what we have before you today is the equitable sharing and agreement certification report. This is just the annual accounting that I have to submit to the federal government to let them know how we spent the money that they gave us off the federal forfeitures. So if you would like, I can go over the report, but if you guys have any questions, I just basically need you guys to appoint Caleb as the governing body head and authorize me to sign it. And seeing that we agree to do all the things we're supposed to do.
I'll move to appoint the commission president, Mr. Hudson, as the Commissioner Hudson as the authorized representative, and authorize the sheriff's office to digitally sign and submit the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then it is time for the sheriff's commission, and I believe that you guys got a copy of the request and the report. So you just guys have to approve it.
I'll move to approve the sheriff's commission report and authorize payment.
Second, and just the taxpayers know this is, an additional payment to the sheriff or some state code. We just can't do additional funds. I guess it proves incentive to collect things.
Yes. Exactly.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you guys very much.
Next I have is agenda item number 3, Ms. Lorcan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to fill the position that was recently vacated due to one of my employees transfer to the auto shop. So I advertised, interviewed several applicants, and I'm requesting approval of Michael Lee. This is a grade 4 80-hour position, starting salary $38,693. We're still trying to work out start date, but he's either going to be starting the 22nd or shortly thereafter. So it'd be, I'd say, effective the 22nd.
I move to approve, and this is budget neutral, I'm pretty sure.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, fair. I move to approve the employment of Michael Lee for the position of facility maintenance helper at grade 4, 80-hour position, starting salary is $38,693, and the start date will be August 22nd, or thereafter.
Yes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next I have is agenda number 4, Dr. Jonathan Harkins.
Good morning, members of the commission, Tiffany Lawrence with Orion Strategies. I'm here on behalf of my client, Mountain View Behavioral Health. Charlie Abner from Mountain View Behavioral Health joins me, and also online we have Dr. Jonathan Harkins, the CEO of Mountain View Behavioral Health. I have handouts for the person. So I'll just preface the conversation and then I'll toss the ball to Dr. Harkins, who's on. But we are here requesting a letter of support for Mountaineer Behavioral Health. They are currently building a project called the Mountaineer Recovery Village, and they have applied for a multitude of grant funds, one source being from the Federal Home Loan Bank, in the request amount of $500,000 for construction of housing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Harkins for the project.
Good morning. Thank you for hosting us and allowing us to speak about the Recovery Village. And apologize for being out of town, but I'm glad we have the virtual option. Just to give you all a brief history and leading up to what our request is, Mountaineer Recovery Center opened in Kearneysville in 2019. And we started with a 48-bed residential treatment facility for those suffering with substance abuse disorders and needed a safe, protected environment to be able to establish their sobriety and learn recovery skills. Our program was 28 or 30 days and somewhat of the stereotypical residential rehab model. Since we opened in November in 2019, we average about 500 admissions per year from people around the state. We've had admissions from all 55 counties, but the primary admissions are those who come from Jefferson, Berkeley, Morgan County, and the periphery of the Eastern Panhandle. We do work closely with Jefferson County agencies like Jefferson County Day Report Center, and also we work with the Family Court and Drug Courts as well, a Department of Probation's Department of Corrections, with those who are court-ordered to treatment and then those who continue on for follow-on outpatient treatment after they leave residential and follow up with us for outpatient services. One of the things that we've noticed with the success of the program is that we do track those who leave and how they're doing after they finish rehab treatment and go back into their homes in the communities like Jefferson County. And for those who are struggling, what we noticed is that what we find is comparable to the same barriers that people throughout the nation have when they leave residential rehab. And there's 3 things that people lack or struggle with when they leave rehab. One is a place to work, and oftentimes there's a gap between leaving the rehab and going into the workforce. And that idle time allows for them to be able to move right back into their old behavior patterns and end up relapsing before they get back into the workforce. A second thing is a stable or healthy place to live. Many people come out of some unhealthy living situations, maybe where their other family members are drinking or using drugs, and or they're in a neighborhood that leaves them exposed, and then they return to that neighborhood after rehab, and being triggered by that exposure, they end up relapsing. And then the third thing that we find people lack is a place to connect. And we find that people who go to 12-step meetings or involved in the recovery community have a much higher outcome than those who just go back to their home and don't have a sense of support system around them. So those 3 factors are the things that we found, and we've been looking for ways to try to increase the successful outcomes of those who graduate from our program in addressing those 3 gaps of work, of living situation, and having a place to connect. One of the best tools that's for that is a concept called recovery residences. And recovery residences are homes that are structured for people to move into, in which recovery services are provided. And they can continue to get what we call wraparound supportive services. We initially thought we would try to set those up in individual locations, like maybe in Jefferson County, Berkeley County, the other counties, Eastern Panhandle, and that was our initial model. But then when we started planning for that, we recognized that there was a lot of other barriers that came up as a result, like providing transportation. Many people who will move into a sober living house will have problems with getting transportation to work from that house, or getting transportation to other resources that they need. And many of them don't have their driver's license because of fines related to their substance use, and then they can't get their employment because they don't have a license, which means they can't get funds to pay off their fines, and they're kind of caught in a circular problem that they can't seem to break out of. So we evolved our model to what we call the Mountaineer Recovery Village, and this leads us to why we're wanting to bring this to your attention from the County Commission. Mountaineer Behavioral Health was able to purchase 72 acres that is in Kearneysville, right on the Berkeley-Jefferson County line that butts up right against Route 9 off of the Short Road exit. With those 72 acres, we plan to develop what we're calling the Mountaineer Recovery Village, and it's in the handout that was given to you. We've already gone through extensive engineering design work, architectural establishment, and gone through Berkeley County review process, but the Recovery Village is set up to provide in a concentrated area, and that's the key part of this concept, is to provide recovery residences in a concentrated area, and that we're calling the Mountaineer Recovery Village. What makes it unique is there's nothing like this in the country, it puts them in a neighborhood that will be covenant-based, and the primary covenant restriction will be no drugs or alcohol allowed inside the campus. It will be a gated community with only those accessible who are residents or support staff, or those who've been approved visitors, such as family members coming on site. It's also designed to allow people to have families, and as you see in the plat, there'll be multiple townhomes with 3-bedroom townhomes so people can have their families with them. And it'll be exclusive such that only people in recovery would be allowed to live on the campus unless they have their family members with them. One of the things that we didn't realize this would be addressing, but that has been evolving as a concurrent problem over the last few years throughout the state of West Virginia, has been that many what is commonly referred to as sober houses or sober living homes have been popping up around the state. And it's primarily, these occur by individuals who usually have good intentions to provide a home for people to live who are coming out of rehab. But the state doesn't have any means of regulating these or keeping track of them. And in fact, just in late July, there was a news report done by a TV station in Charleston that looked at the nuisance that many of these houses are creating around the state because they're not regulated, they have no accountability or oversight. And unfortunately, a lot of these few bad houses create a negative reputation for a lot of good ones that are around the state. One of the things that the village will accomplish is these houses are going to all be certified by the West Virginia Association of Recovery Residences. We'll be providing wraparound services that are in coordination with DHHR, and we will also be having enforcement of the drug and alcohol policy by having drug screenings required of all the residents on a random basis, and that'll be one of the covenant restrictions as well. That leads us to our request to you, and that what that request is about is that Charlie, who's there with you, and Tiffany from Orion have been very helpful in us trying to acquire different funding sources to be able to cover the cost of construction of the village. And one of the national funding sources is the Federal Home Loan Bank, which is out of Pittsburgh. And they provide funding for housing, particularly for the underserved population or the low income population. and they provide grants for construction of housing that targets those populations. We've been talking with them at length about our recovery village, and they're very receptive to the idea. We do have to go through a formal application and review process. And one of the elements of that review involves having county governments or some kind of government agencies provide support of the housing that is for which we're seeking funds. And so what Tiffany is providing is a form from their application that we are looking to get Jefferson County, since the recovery village would be right on the border with Jefferson County in Kearneysville. We will be serving many Jefferson County residents. And we wanted to ask if this was something that the county commission would support conceptually and us moving forward so that we could perhaps access these funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank. So I'll stop there as the overview and just turn it back over to Tiffany to facilitate any questions or comments that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Hartens. Just as a matter.
There's one point that I want to add to the doctor's thing, is that those people who are justice impacted, those coming out of incarceration, normally have the same problems that we find in the recovery community. So therefore, the village has, in the first phase, a house dedicated to men who are coming out of incarceration that are justice impacted, which is a big problem in this area of the Eastern Panhandle, is that you need that service because most of those gentlemen who apply to come to the treatment center out of incarceration already have a drug problem. So it's very difficult in this community in the Eastern Panhandle to separate those two populations. Now, surprisingly, the female population has the same problem as does the men. But with the recovery center, Dr. Hart has been able to get a women's center that some of you came to the opening back in April that Tiffany did. And those women are allowed to bring to treatment kids up to 5 years old, and they get daycare and everything else. But at some point in time, they've got to be transitioned to somewhere else to live. So the village is that next step that moves them into a structured environment that moves them to some point being able to live into a residence where they can do different things and have a family. So it's important to remember that when we talk about recovery, it's also those that are justice impacted, because I worked for a time in the Department of Corrections facility up in Martinsburg as a classifications guy. I've done a lot of things in life, so I understand from that point, because I always had a problem of trying to find people that were coming up for parole a place to go to, because if you send them back where they came from, they're going to violate the parole in a very short time. And being an old infantry officer like I see the chairman up there being, I understand you got a plan before you do something. So this plan is not just the immediate knee-jerk reaction to a problem that we have in Jefferson, Berkeley County, and the Eastern Panhandle. It goes broader than that. It's a long-term plan to try to address this issue that's not going to go away based on who's the president of the United States or who's in political office in Congress. It goes beyond that because it starts down at the family level and works its way up. I appreciate your time. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Carly. You can tell that his staff is pretty passionate about what they do. Just as a moment of order here for a second, I did provide Ms. Carroll with the official form from the application that basically says that the commission would endorse the project, but also that you all agree that housing of this type would be in your county plan essentially for long-term strategic planning, that you would think that this is something that is necessary for these types of populations and that the Mountaineer Recovery Village would be part of that plan. That's what the Pittsburgh Home Loan Bank has requested, so you do have that official form. We also did provide a draft letter of support should you want to edit and sign that officially from the commission's behalf. Do you all have any questions for Dr. Hartens or any of us?
Yes, I do. You're referring to that it's part of our plan, and I don't know if it's specific, if you're referring to the comprehensive plan. That's
That's a process to amend and change.
yes,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it is specifically mentioned in there, and I don't know if that's what you're implying or not. And we can't do that. with just a motion here today.
That's right. Thank you, Commissioner. And I was talking more of a visionary plan for long-term growth. And I would hope, and I think the doctor would hope is when you would amend the comprehensive plan, perhaps you would consider things like this. But in the interim, that this would be part of the community's plan to address the substance use disorder and have recovery treatment programs intact. So it's
In other
not.
words, we endorse the concept. We can't say, we're going to redo the comp plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right, gotcha.
And then I have an interest, it says training from Blue Ridge and James Rumsey. Are these just gonna be classes or are they gonna be enrolled programs? I was just curious.
It's a combination of both. We have, we're doing some on training. We've got James Rumsey coming over to do adult ed for people who need to get their GEDs. Blue Ridge is going to provide additional services in that we can send them off to training at Blue Ridge to increase their employability. James Rumsey is basically, let's get a ticket to get you a job, get you a CDL license, expunge your record so you can drive again, get you an HVAC license. We're addressing in a future grant, sending 18 women to a program to teach them how to be a carpenter so that they can have some skills that give them some confidence. So these wraparound services the doctor mentioned are not paid for by any provider. That's things that we have to accomplish by grants. So yes, it is a whole community, James Rumsey, Blue Ridge, and everybody pulling together to make them work. I call it job ready. They've got to be job ready, which means you got to clear the expungements and all that and get them a job. Because that's the end of the day, everybody's going to have to pay rent at some point. And day one is when you have to pay rent. You got to be employed to do that.
If I could add a comment onto that too, just that part of the benefit of having all the houses in the concentrated neighborhood provide the wraparound services that Charlie was mentioning is that a key piece that our residents struggle with when they move out of the community is transportation, particularly to and from work. And one of the things that the model will set up is by having them all in a concentrated neighborhood, it will enable us to provide transportation services much more efficiently to some of the larger employers in Jefferson County. And many of our graduates do work in some of the companies that are in Jefferson County. And we know that throughout the state, there is a high demand for workers and an undersupply of those who are able or willing to work. And so we see this not just as a housing service or a recovery service, but an economic service for the development of the respective communities and the employers, the business community who needs a skilled workforce. And many of these graduates do have skills, but because of their addiction and lack of supportive services in their recovery, they haven't been able to really contribute those back to the community.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious, do you work with or have intentions of working with the Workforce Development Office for finding jobs for?
Yes, ma'am. We're planning an event in September around the 19th.
Okay.
That's connected with Jobs and Hope. We work with Erin every day out of Jobs and Hope. She's a big piece of this because she has access to funds that we don't have. The state and federal government has a number of funds available that she can tap into. And so we have a very close relationship. She's the one that introduced us and took us out to James Rumsey and Blue Ridge back in the spring while we set up how we were going to do the in-house computer training for some people and that stuff. So Jobs and Hope is a big part of it. Workforce is a big part of it because at the end of the day, they know who the employers are. They know who needs people. You can only get so many jobs by word of mouth.
And just to let you know, currently, Mountain View Recovery Center in the current complex and with the expansion of the new Women's Center, they already have relationships with 50+ private employers in Jefferson and Berkeley counties. So the P&Gs of the world, the Macy's, those types of businesses are already working with them to integrate folks into training, sometimes on site. But it's our hope with the Recovery Village that we'll have more of the training as transitional actually at the village level, and then they can transition into those employment opportunities. So yes, great question.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all for coming. I certainly do support this, and I'll go ahead, I'll move a motion and phrase this so it's not in our comp plan, but But I'll move a motion that that we support the expansion, the concept of the Mountaineer Behavioral Health, the plan and visionary of this project. And also would like to authorize our chairman to sign a letter of support so you can apply for the federal home loan grant. That's
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is really an ambitious project, but it sounds like it's what's needed to get these folks back to being functional, productive adults.
It definitely seems to be kind of filling the missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how.
And to keep families together as much as possible.
Is there more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have agenda item number 5, Mr. Keith Lowry.
Thank you, members of the commission, for agreeing to hear me out again. Thank you, Mr. Hawk, for sponsoring us. As you are aware, a few months ago, we came and asked for a letter of support that we could take to Senator's Mansion in Capito for approval of insertion into the budgetary cycle and earmarks for the federal government. And both of them agreed to do that. So both of those requests have gone into their committees for approval and their subcommittees. And so we're hoping that we come out with some money from there. I apologize that I was not able to be here on August 14th, but unfortunately I was on vacation with my family in the Outer Banks, and that was very fun. So today I'm here to ask for a second request, which is that we are now going to be going on and approaching the governor and the state to ask for funding grants to help us build this building. As you're aware, the city of Ranson has donated 1.2 acres to us. We are currently in the process of, it's already been transferred to us, the property has. We're working with engineers and architects now to come up with some conceptual drawings. We're in the middle of that. We're going to be going down to the governor's office to make sure that they understand what we're doing and that they approve and will support us financially in trying to accomplish bringing emergency shelter to Jefferson County, as well as the first emergency shelter to include families. We currently, in our plan, are having a minimum of 15 women and 15 adult emergency shelter for the evening, and a total of 6 family units for people who have children, and there's no age restriction. They just have to be under 18. Anybody over 18 would go into the adult section. And our current option right now is to put families with children in motels, and that's costing us about $60,000 a year. We currently serve, we just completed our fiscal year. We serve 1,547, I believe, individuals this last year and over 523 families. Within our 7 departments, it's a big undertaking, a lot of moving parts, and I thank those who have come and visit. And if anybody else would like to come and see what we do, please come on by, because I'm happy to give you a demonstration and show you what we do. But other than that, my request today is simply, I have passed out or handed in a draft letter of support to the governor, to the lieutenant governor, and to the speaker of support that the county is supporting us in our vision. And that's the request. And I turn it over to you for any questions you might have.
I mean, I don't have any questions. I just, in reading the letter, I think that we don't have a family shelter in the region as you've written it. I think it's something really important that we should support.
I agree with Commissioner Aft that it's something that's needed, just as we heard the previous speakers refer to the challenges for many people. And I think it's great too, that, you will have expanded capacity to keep families together.
I will tell you as well that we do partner with Mountaineer Recovery
So
Center.
I figured.
And they quite frequently refer people to us, we refer people to them. Our approach is the whole, what do we do to make this individual become self-reliant, and that's our focus.
I'll go ahead and move a motion to have our chairman sign a letter of support for the community ministries to ask for the state-based ARPA funds to be used for their neighbor project for the new community center, right, or new community service center.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next I have is item number 6, Mr. Steve Cox.
He's in route,
Yeah.
so he will be here, but we are running a little ahead on the agenda.
Yeah.
Well, again, go on up there.
Perfect time.
Everybody's looking at me.
Perfect time.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Hope you guys are ready to receive me today. Glad you got through last time. Or got done with it, Ms. Nelson, do you have copies of the?
They have, that was given to.
Okay. All right, thanks. So thanks for having me, commissioners. Part of the responsibility of the Jefferson County Deputy Sheriff's Civil Service Commission is to make report to the commission and the sheriff once a year of its activities. So with that said, you guys should have some reports. I've got something written I'd like to try to stick to here in front of me. The current Civil Service Commission is composed of 3 commissioners. Our job is to provide for fair employment opportunities for our deputy sheriffs, which include hiring practices, promotional opportunities. It also, we serve as a disciplinary review board. Through its creation rules, regulations, each commissioner alone or as a whole can act as a investigative body for offenses committed against our particular article within the state code. The present commissioners, of course, I was appointed by you folks late last year. Again, my name is Steve Cox, the president. This is Will Liston. He was appointed to fill an expired term by the Deputy Sheriff's Association. And Commissioner Gene Vizzosi, who is unique to us. I own my own business. Mr. Liston is retired, but Gene works a full-time and a half job and gets to all of our meetings and participates regularly. As you know, you all appointed him. You ended up having to step in when another body failed to exercise its job. He stepped in. Gene was a great pick. He is very, very knowledgeable and has contributed the fact that Will and I are very similar in mindset, and Gene is a lot different than we are, but we all are in favor of this code. So it works very well to the county's favor that he's on there. So again, we're required to do a yearly report. We decided to make that yearly report at the start of the fiscal year. The first meeting was just a little difficult for us to get into. The second one was just a swamp for you guys, so we decided to push it on. My first contact after being appointed, though, was with our county clerk, Jackie Shadle. She provided oath to me. Then we sat down and discussed the role of the county or the Civil Service Commission and the role that she plays with it. Ms. Shadle was more than excited to get started with this and really helped us out and set us on the road to success. By code, the county clerk acts as our administrative support. After about a month or two, we really got the wheels moving with the commission, and Ms. Shadle assigned Deputy Clerk Bessie Nelson to kind of be our permanent administrative support. To my surprise, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say to the surprise of all three commissioners, Bessie Nelson has jumped in there, both feet forward. She has done an absolute terrific job. I don't know that there's been anybody that I've met in the county offices that would have been able to complete their job and take us on while learning the Civil Service Code the way she has. She is practically as educated on this subject matter as Will and I are. It's pretty remarkable. And the commission would like for the county commissioners to know that we support the retainment of her employment. Okay. So when we first got started, we needed to find some documents. By code, you got to have rules and regulations in place. We searched and searched and searched and searched. I made requests of former commissioners, to which we got nothing. So we knew that we had to start somewhere. So we started with creating rules and regulations, particularly for the hiring process. We also knew at that time that we needed to hire somebody. Okay. But with that said, we did end up finding 8 documents that's been filed with the circuit court since 1971, which one was the creation of the Civil Service Commission for Jefferson County in 1971. I'd like to point out one other document that we did find that's kind of unique and neat. We found the original civil service employee hire from 1971, who happens to still be employed by the sheriff's office to this day after 51 years of service. He still works there. He's no longer a law enforcement deputy, but he is still employed, and his name is retired Lieutenant Deputy Sheriff Kenny Mills. The commission as a whole includes Clerk Jackie Shadle and Deputy Clerk Bessie Nelson has probably put in upwards of 1,000+ hours just in the last 6 months of work into creating our rules and regulations and getting things going. As you know, the sheriff's office is down. I believe they're down 7. We started as being down 7 positions. We had a lot of work. We had to get the rules in. We can't hire without rules. We simply can't do it. We did end up actually finding some rules, but they weren't being followed, and some of these rules were over 30 years old. And we have new legislation, we have new case law that's taken place in 30 years that's practically changed everything that was in those rules and regulations that we did end up finding. So far, we've completed the hiring process. And we are, next week, I believe we have a scheduled meeting for the promotional process, correct?
Yes.
We have a public meeting scheduled next week to vote into the rules and regulations, the promotional process, because that is also something that we need to get done because we have one position available for promotion. I believe after that will be our disciplinary process. So just to let you guys know, our process of creating these rules and regulations starts with, we identify what we need to do. Then we make contact with the sheriff and the deputies and let them know what process we're going to start working on. We ask for input from them on what they're thinking, and then we'll take everybody's input. We'll open up the state code, and then we start searching for case law, what has changed and things over the course of the years. And then we pile everything together as best as we can. The three of us write opinions, send them out to each other, then we come together, we develop one opinion from that. We kind of butcher it 2 or 3 times, and then we put it out to the public, to the deputies, to the sheriff. We have a meeting. I believe some of you have shown up at some of our meetings and you've seen the input that we get from people, and we go from there. I'm not going to say since the new commission's been in place, but since my appointment, we have tested 4 times, 3 times or 4 times. November 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We've tested 4 times since my appointment. The very first testing that we did was 2 weeks after your appointment of me, and we had 1 applicant. State law requires that we give the sheriff 3 persons to hire from. So legally, we can't even work with 1 person. So we went through an advertising process, we went through a testing process, and at the end of all of this effort, we couldn't even legally proceed. So coming into this, I knew that things needed to change. We just weren't even able to proceed legally. So we put together a system. In the past, this commission has been reactionary. Sheriff says, I have a position available, and the Civil Service Commission comes in, and then they go through the process of advertising, setting it up, getting the written tests, and then there's testing. We've changed that. We are no longer reactionary. We have created a process that we are going to maintain continuously. We're no longer waiting for the sheriff to tell us he's hiring. We're scheduling hirings at a minimum of every quarter. That also helps to keep people interested in employment as a deputy. If they're waiting for 2 or 3 years, something to come up, which can happen. Right now, it's not the case. You lose interest. People will apply, and then, they wait for 6, 8, 10, 12 months just to take a test, and they're no longer. So we've changed that process. We get them in, we keep them interested, and we maintain a list. So we have to provide the sheriff a list of 3, but like currently we have a list of, 9 or 10 people. But the top 3 people, according to how they score, not our opinions, how they score, gets sent to the sheriff, and he gets to pick from those 3. So at any time, the sheriff can say, I have an opening, we have a list, here you go. You don't have to wait 6 or 8 months for us to get our stuff together to do this. Here it is. I have been in meetings with the sheriff. I believe that we all 4 of us here today, that was including County Clerk Jackie Shadle, has been in meetings, and we've heard the sheriff and his deputies talk about how long it takes to hire somebody. Upwards 12 to 18 months. Last county commission meeting, they made their 3rd hire under our new testing. You know that we've only really been together for about 6 months. So that at least means that we've cut this down to 6 months, right? We've done better than that. This week, I received an email of a conditional offer that was made to an individual who tested 5 weeks ago. We've gone from 12 to 18 months to 5 weeks. That was my goal. When I came in here, I knew the problems. I had the experience. That's why I applied for the job. And that was one of those things that I wanted to accomplish when I came in here, is to change this process of reactionary hiring and make it more functional, make it almost immediate. And the sheriff's office has done their part. As soon as we get the names, they don't sit on them and wait. They jump in there, they start doing their background investigation and such. So as a team, we've been able to cut that down significantly. So with that said, we have been able to hire at least 3. It looks like we are set for 4. I didn't make it here early enough to listen to Sheriff Hansen. I don't know if he said anything about his conditional offer that was made. I'm sure if he didn't today, he will be in the next meeting. So we have been able to accomplish that much in the amount of time that we've been together. I will use Berkeley County again as an example. Berkeley County, at the 3-year mark, Judge Wilkes stepped in and said, you guys need to get this done. We're almost done through the processes. We've got basically a third, and we've got it done in 6 months. So that is our report to you guys. Hopefully I won't have to do this again for another year. Hopefully you won't hear from us for another year. Everything will run smooth and we won't need any additional funding or anything like that. Do you have any questions of the commission, of me, of Will Liston?
No, I was just going to make a comment. I really appreciate you being proactive and with not only the commission, but in getting some processes together, getting some things so that we could try to streamline the process. I know we're always struggling to recruit and retain. So I'd like to see, it's good to see some stability, fairness and equality across the board for not only the testing, but for retaining and disciplinary.
And to add to the hiring point that you were making, we did get a spot on the county's website under county clerk's particular area of the website. We have a fillable application on that website that can be filled out at any time. We have open recruitment. They can send an application in anytime somebody wants to. They can find it on the website. Previously, it was run here, run there, and do what you have to do. We can't get away from that completely, but to get them in the door and get them moving through the process, we've made it about as easy as we possibly can. They still have to show up, they still have to come and do some stuff. So we've also taken a step to get this stuff out on the web and make it easy.
Let's go see us moving forward.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
And I mean, I would say moving from the 12 to 8 months down to 5 weeks, I feel like for attracting and retaining, like that alone, saying, hey, it's not a year and a half process.
Especially today when you're not just having trouble recruiting people with things that are happening now. You're having trouble with retaining them. People are leaving, not to go to a different department. They're just leaving the career completely. So we have a huge black eye that we're trying to work through. And if we continue to go down the road of taking, I know when I get hired, I think it was 9 months from the date that I tested, the date that I was sworn in. I didn't even start working for like a year and a half. Well, how long did it take you?
18 months.
18 months. Now we're talking, mine was 20 plus years ago. Will's was maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, these days you can't do it. You simply cannot do it. People are going to find a different job. They're going to find out that they don't want this job. Got to turn that amount time. We actually find that just because I've said that we've tested, however many people, we've had twice that apply. And then I actually talked to one person on the phone, and she said, I just don't, I don't want to be a police officer anymore. And I asked, why? And this is more like research for me. Like, I'm trying to understand what's going on. Her problem wasn't necessarily that she didn't like law enforcement. She said, well, I feel like I don't want to walk around with a career full of wearing masks. And I said, well, why do you think that you have to wear a mask? Well, because everybody's got to wear a mask as a cop now. I said, our sheriff's office does not require that. That's not a requirement. And she changed her mind, but she never decided to actually come in and test. There's little things like mask wearing. People don't want to wear them. They don't want to go to work and wear a mask all day. And, a lot of other things. It's very, very hard to recruit. If you can stop the 12, 18-month thing, then great. Let's get them through the door without sacrificing security and background history and that sort of stuff that we need to gather. We're not sacrificing any of that stuff. At least as far as I know, the sheriff's office isn't doing it. Background stuff is not necessarily our area of concern. It's definitely be the sheriff's office. So.
Anything from the commissioners?
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I was gonna say, go to JB. Okay. So do you all want to go take a break till 10:50? Yes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
Where we sit.
Yeah. The mic's probably still on.
She usually, like, when we're in executive session, she's usually saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You gotta keep kidding me. I thought you were new to this.
Yeah, when I come in with facts of public comments of 20+ pages. Sounds like y'all been busy.
We have, it's been very educational. I didn't think I would like it when Jackie first assigned me to it. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot.
being ranked as the #1 transparency site in the United States, which means that from a state government level, our citizens have more access to our state data that is public than any other place in the country. And what we determined was that our cities and counties deserved access to the same technology for a bunch of reasons. First and most importantly is that your constituents and the citizens of your county and every county deserve to know what's happening with their tax dollars. Same deal with the media. Secondly, how many of the commissioners here understand how to run their accounting system for the county? You guys get in and run a report and pull the data you want and find out where your funding's coming from, and right? You can't, because the system.
We're not approved to use the system.
That's right. Nor should you be.
Right.
And the system is designed for the clerk and the county administrator, right? The system is designed for the actual operator, not the decision maker. And so what this system does is it gives each one of you your own personalized window into your finances. So you can now manipulate the data, find the reports you want, and we will build you a custom commissioner's dashboard that will give you the exact information you want every time you open up your screen. So if you want to know how much sales tax revenue you have, you can't do sales tax. If you want to know how much, maybe one day, right?
Yeah.
If you want to know how much property tax revenue is coming in, or you want to know if there's been a reduction in, fees or speeding tickets, or you name it, right? You can build that report exactly how you want. So every time you come into a meeting, you'll know exactly the data and the metrics that you want, which makes all of you better decision makers. And then lastly, it gives us in the auditor's office an incredibly valuable window into your all's finances when it comes to budget approval time, when it comes to auditing time, and hopefully at some point when we get all of the counties online, it'll give us the ability to aggregate county financial data so that we can help the legislature make decisions as it relates to local governments. One of the things that I find, and this is all very front of mind right now with Amendment 2, is the legislature looks at county and city finances through the window of their county and city. So you have 100 legislators and 34 senators who say county governments are doing this, but they're doing it based on what their county is. So if you live in Randolph County, or you live in Ohio County, or you live in Mingo County, you have a very different perspective on what is happening with county governments. And it is very difficult for us at Current to aggregate county data and show trend lines and show exactly how counties are collecting data and what's happening. Once all 55 counties are on here, we're going to be able to be a much better resource for our legislators as they are making these really, really big decisions about how counties collect revenue, about how counties can expend revenue. And you name the reason why that's really, really monumentally important. But to me, that is a huge deal. Our office sees itself as an advocate for local governments. It is our essential job to make sure that you're successful. And for me, part of that job is making sure the legislature understands what you are doing and what you have done so that they can make better decisions on how state law affects you guys. So again, I am just wildly appreciative of the fact that you guys have decided to do this. We made the very intentional decision to not mandate this. What we believe is that counties should be given the ability to make great decisions on their own. I'm not your parent. And so what we like to do is offer really great products that really help you become better governing bodies and hope that you'll use them. And in the county world, what'd you say, we have 45 already?
Yeah, well, we have around 40, a little over 40 participating, and you guys are about the 25th to go live. So we have a lot in the queue.
And so what that does is it validates my assumption that it's a lot better to have 50 willing participants than 55 mandated participants. And I knew the counties and cities would step up. I knew they would understand the value of this, and they did, which I think is a really great lesson for state government going forward, that it's a lot easier to offer things that help and then make them free and make them usable and make them simple than to force people to do things that they may not want to do because there's an initial visceral reaction against being forced to do anything. So with that being said, Skylar, why don't you go ahead and do a little presentation and then we can answer some questions. And again, thank you so much.
We'll top right in. So when you first come to the website here, you'll see that link up there at the top. It's Jefferson County wv.opengov.com, and that's your URL to access the transparency portal. JB was talking earlier about dashboards. So you have two sides of this. You have the public facing portal, which is what the taxpayers see. That's your public link. And then you have the other side, what we call the control panel. And that's where the commission and the clerk's office, whoever would like a login, that's where you guys will go to access your dashboard. And that has
all the things that you can manipulate with the site. So if you want to download or upload reports, or if you want to add certain graphs, add certain tiles, change your stories, change your dashboard, all of that happens in the back end. But here we're on the front end, and up here to the right, you'll see a few features. Up here to the right, you have a share option. And this is nice because you can make any sort of financial data a post, whether it be Facebook, Twitter. We obviously want you guys to tout your successes and show folks what you're doing with their tax dollars, so they understand that. You can make that into a Facebook post or a Twitter post, and then you can email that to whoever you'd like. And then if you want, you can download that image or that spreadsheet. And this is why it's powerful for your sort of workflows within your organization. Like he was saying, none of you really understand the accounting system, and it gives more work to your clerk or to your county administrator or whoever it might be that's running those reports. It's easier just to go on here, have your own login, have that same access to that information, and be able to just look at it for yourself and print it out for the commissioner, print it out for whoever wants it. And so that's pretty nice as well. Over here to my left, this is where you can access your reports. Right now we have an annual and a monthly report and transactions. And so right here, this same transactions report is linked in the portal right here. And so the actuals are made up by that transactions report. And I'll get to that here in a second. But here's where you access your different reports. And then over here we have stories, and I'll touch on that probably last. What we have here are called saved views. And saved views are nice because it's a place to go into the platform that you use regularly. So like when I click on those saved views, it helps me right into the general fund and the revenues going into that general fund. And so when the public asks you a question, hey, I'm looking for something, I can't find it, or there's a lot of filtering that I got to do to find what I'm looking for, saved views are nice because you can save that point in the platform and then jump right to it and get right where you need to go. Over here we have filters, so you're able to filter your different information. So if I want to look at expenses, now how are we breaking down those expenses? We can break it down by project, the type of expense, which is what we are now, or department. And this is where it gets sort of powerful in my opinion. And one of the things I like the most about it is here in these different ways to filter, you can break out all of these different categories and then capture what departments you want to tie in. So let's say we want to look at, let's go ahead and uncheck all of these. And let's just do public safety. What's another good one, Bessie? Probably like health and sanitation. Has no new data in it. And then we can bring in these two different types and these two different departments. And now we have the ability to compare. It looks like health and sanitation did it. So let's
General government.
Yeah. Horticulture and recreation.
Open up your general government.
Well, that works. That's perfect right there. And so here's what we can do with this. Now this is annual over time, but in the monthly report, we can break that down month to month. So let's say, okay, well, here's what we're doing in general government. Here's what we're doing in public safety. Where are we losing money or where are we gaining money? Do we need to give more money to a certain department, or do we need to maybe take money away because that's what makes logical sense? It's a good way to compare and contrast your financial data over time and be able to identify those trends. And when you're making a decision about, how to fund something or how to subsidize something or finance something, this is a good way to bring that data in to be able to compare those different data points. And that's a really powerful thing. This is what a lot of folks use it for. So down here, we get into the transactions. And so we have everything, and you guys really killed it with how you're doing this, because you're doing a full chart of accounts implementation, meaning we took your chart of accounts and we have all those corresponding codes within your chart to be able to filter through. So you can look through the object of the expenditure, you can look through the department, you can look at the fund and break down all of those different codes. Obviously you have the vendor too. And then there's different account descriptions, and all of those breakouts are there, and you're able to filter through whatever you want. So let's say we go here to this description and we want to look at just general government.
So as you're doing that, Skylar, so one of the things that we have found with this technology is we are in some ways sort of like the county clerk for the state government, right? So all of the requests for data and all of the FOIA requests and all those things flow through us. 99% of the time, when somebody FOIAs a piece of information, if we teach them how to use the site or point them on the site to where to go, it satiates the site. right? And so what's really, really great about this is that it gives people the access to the data that they ask for, because FOIAs are 99% paperwork and 1% data, right? It takes longer to fill all of the stuff out than it does to get people what they're asking for. And this gives them the ability to do it themselves.
And so within this column here, I'm filtering general government. Now I'm tying in all the transactions related to general government. So it's just a different way to filter. But what's nice about this is that you have all these different columns to filter through. And so you can look for pretty much whatever you want here. Now that I filtered that, we have about 306 transactions just for this fiscal year, the start of the fiscal year alone. And so again, different way to filter, different way to aggregate certain information that you want to see to make decisions. And that's why we're doing this, to make stuff more efficient. And so last thing I'll touch on here is stories. And so this is probably, I would say, probably JP's favorite thing.
This is my favorite thing ever, actually.
Yeah, and so
except for my kids.
So we built this custom built this for you guys. Obviously, that's is that Harvest. And so here is a breakdown. And what stories are a way to tie in financial data and tie it to narratives to be able to tell a story about what you're doing with your data and what you're doing with your money. And so here you have your general fund budget and then the expenses out of that. And this is sort of like a gauge to see where you're at. And now this is 2022, keep in mind, this is 23, that's why it's so high. And so where you're at in comparison to your budget. And so the public can monitor where you're at in your budget. And here's just a nice graph and a nice breakdown of your general fund revenues.
And just to give you sort of, this doesn't happen here as much as it does on the state level, but it's frustrating from the auditor's office standpoint, and my guess is this is probably frustrating for a lot of people to watch revenues come in way ahead of projections every month. It's maddening for me because what you're really saying is you predicted it so badly, right, that you were missing it by 40%. If you were missing it by 40% lower, everyone would be freaking out. And so what this gives you is the ability to understand if that's happening and then to know why. What I'm yet to hear is why are we 30% higher on all of our revenue estimates, right? And without knowing why, it's luck. Success without understanding is luck, right? That's Confucius saying or whatever. But this gives you, so you don't get in 6 months into the budget and be like, holy smokes, we missed the number, right? You can watch it in real time and understand when the trends are happening and spend that money or save that money in ways that are way more timely. And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, so I built this kind of quick and dirty, but I would love to come back and talk with you guys about how you can utilize stories. I know you guys have good initiatives, whether it be festivals or like roads that you're paving or equipment that you're buying, new police cars, whatever it may be. There's stuff that you can take here and what does the public do? Elkins had this problem. Whenever you like increase taxes or have to increase a fee or something like that, they come with their pitchforks and their torches and they're, give me my money back, right? And Elkins, they had a 1% sales tax increase, and Elkins took their story and were like, calm down, like we're not stealing your money, here's what we did with it. And so they put in there, okay, here's the revenues from the sales tax increase. And then they literally put that you can take pictures, videos, it's like building a PowerPoint. And they took pictures and videos and they showed folks, this is what we bought. We beautified Main Street, we paved a road, we tore down some old buildings, we hired new police officers. This is very flexible and versatile, and it's easy to use.
And so this is the stories aspect is really about building trust, right? And so to me, that's the reason why it's so powerful is the biggest problem we have in government in America right now is that people don't trust us. And when you are speaking to them directly through numbers and you're saying, I promised you I was going to do this and this is what I actually did, right? There's no filter on this. So the public is looking at these numbers without any of your all's.
Yeah, they're looking at your accounting system.
They're looking at your actual accounting system the same way that anybody else could. And then you say, look, I'm going to show you what actually happened. And here's a picture of that. We told you that we were going to increase the fire levy by 2% or whatever it is. And here's how that manifested itself. Here's the 2 new trucks, or here's the redone firehouse or whatever it is. And then it shows that there's a disconnect right now where people assume you're not telling them the truth, when in actuality, that is, I think 99.9% of the time, not the actual case. And this gives you the ability to speak to them without a political mediary so that they can understand that what you're saying is in fact the actual truth. And that goes so far in my opinion, to making people more comfortable coming to these meetings, understanding what you're doing. And if people trust their government, it makes it so much easier to govern, in my opinion.
Now, so we could create a story of how we're dispersing ARPA money.
Absolutely. A lot of people have already done that.
A lot of people have already.
Actually, we've done that.
Yeah.
We have that on the state side too. So all of the agencies have to feed their
Well,
ARPA
I mean,
expenses.
our finance director has,
Absolutely.
supplied those numbers, but that would
Yep.
be perhaps another more visual way to provide it to the public.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. And all you have to do is code it properly, create the report, and the story builds itself. And then you can add any narrative you want to.
And I assume you guys already have that fund segregated from your other funds. So it would be just another view. I've showed you guys views. It would just be another saved view that you have in there that we can tie in. And a couple auxiliary benefits that we haven't touched on. This is much more user-friendly and much more intuitive than if the public just got a hold of your Tyler system and just wanted to like play around with your accounting system. The graphs, the visualizations of it, the way it breaks the information down, it makes it much more easy, because government accounting is hard to understand. I think we all know that. So that's a really good benefit to this, is that it makes it consumable and digestible for the public. Another auxiliary benefit is extending the life of your ERP too. And what I mean by that is, as long as you have a system to feed this, you can use this as your accounting system in a lot of ways. If you're training new people.
Who do they use?
Tyler, which is that's a good system. It's a decent system.
But well, I think what you're trying to say is it extends the life of the legacy accounting system, right? So accounting system's an expensive one. All it really does is take the numbers that are already in your old one and make them look cool. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's about how the data is presented to you. Mm-hmm. And so this is an interface in your accounting system that has the exact same modern feel. And because it's cloud-based, it's going to update in real time. So as things get more technologically advanced, your site will update itself the same way. Meaning, for as long as the Tyler system is adding the ones and zeros properly, it's going to be presented to you in a way that the most advanced accounting systems will be presenting it to, which is in some ways one of the most important aspects of what this project does, is it can save you an enormous amount of money on what your accounting system costs you.
Right, and I've personally witnessed this. I think in Summersville specifically, if my memory serves me. This is a lot easier to train. So let's say you're training someone new that you bring in. It's a lot easier to train them through this, to help them understand the accounting aspects of it, than just diving right into that accounting system. Obviously, they're going to have to learn the accounting system eventually if that's what their job is. But this gives you just an easier and better grasp on the data, just because of how it's presented, like you said. And yes, ma'am.
I'd like to point out to the public also the table, the current accounts is tied into the state code, so that the average public person going out there, they'll understand what the object numbers mean.
And you guys do a great job with that, and you'd be surprised that not a lot of folks sometimes follow the state chart of accounts, and you guys have done a good job doing that.
Well, what was really cool is just doing this actually helped us reorganize, because most counties didn't even know they weren't following.
Yeah.
Right, and so just just building these and working with the counties to do it helped us to just go back in some ways just fix some little tiny problems that made, like I said before, budget revisions really hard. They made budget approvals really hard. They make auditing really hard. At the end of the day, where we really want to go with all of this is to have a unified set of accounting systems that all of our local governments have, so that my folks can do audits remotely. They can do them from anywhere. They can do them faster. They can do them less expensive. And when we're dealing with data robot and the artificial intelligence world, we can start building budgets predictively. We can start building audits predictively. We can start doing so many things that take you so much time in an automated way that will make everything more accurate. It will reduce fraud. It reduces your time. It reduces our costs. It's pretty remarkable what we can do if we're all doing the exact same thing at the same time. Because there's not any difference between how Berkeley County and Jefferson County's books should. They should look exactly the same with different numbers. Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, it is the exact same exercise. And our people have to then know.
And you guys have been fantastic to work with too, by the way. Every time I have a question for Bessie, or she has a question for me, we've had a great line of communication, and you guys have been fantastic to work with. So thank you for having us, and thank you for doing this.
And if I had to guess, I would say you're going to have as much community usage of this as any place I've ever seen. This is a very politically active group, and that's a great thing. This is that we should be praising the more usage of this, right? And so for us, we go in and look at how many people hit the checkbook site every day. Because the higher that number is, the more engaged our citizenry is. And at the base of all of this, all of our jobs, is to make the place that we represent better. And the only real way to do that is to make sure that every citizen is involved. And when they go to the polls, they have an informed, accurate assessment of how we've all performed. And this allows us to make ourselves accountable to our constituents in a way that's truthful, isn't based in rumor or untruth. And so they can say, look, this person told me they were going to do this, and I've seen the data, they actually did. Or they said they were going to do this and they didn't. Or I don't like the way that they did this. I don't like how they spent this money. As long as they're making that decision on fact, I will take any vote one way or the other, as long as people are objectively looking at what I've done and what they're saying is factually true. And I think every person in West Virginia that's elected has the exact same objective. And I think that's the end all be all of this thing is it gives us the ability to be truthfully accountable to our constituents.
And Skylar, just point of clarity, I know I've been in the training sessions with Jackie and her office, but this information is updated nightly or weekly?
It's nightly.
Nightly.
Yeah, and so, and that's, you bring up a really good point. So depending on the time of day that you're looking at it, because of how your posting dates work in your accounting system, your data is coming over at an everyday rate. But when it posts to your accounting system, there's a little bit of a time lapse between when that posting happens and when the integration happens and when that kicks in and brings the data over. So at one time, you might look at it and say, okay, well, compared to their numbers, it's a couple $100s off, or like a couple $1,000s off. But then when you look at it again, it's gonna hit that posting date, then it's gonna bring it over, and then everything's gonna be right. So it's just that there's a little bit of a time discrepancy there, and that's not something we could really avoid.
Well,
But it is the best we could do for
Yeah.
real-time data.
So real time is actually strangely enough a relative term, right? And so the state does enough transactions in real time that actually doing it in real time makes sense. You know, for a small city, once a month, right? They might only be paying 10 bills a month, right? There's really not that much utility in making somebody go in and run this report every day. And from a county standpoint, every couple of weeks is great, right? I mean, that's when you're starting to get a digestible amount of data that you can actually see what's happening. Because otherwise the sample sizes are so small, and the way that you guys pay your bills, the way things happen, you're probably not going to get a great predicted window unless you have enough data to compare it to. And most counties are every other week or once a month, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on their accounting system, honestly, but yeah, usually about a month, monthly. So you guys doing it daily is great show of faith. I mean, that you guys are probably one of the only entities that we've partnered with that's doing that. So I would say one of maybe like 5.
I also think they might have the most modern, they might have the newest accounting system.
You guys are in the top 1% there, yeah, for sure.
You know, all the volunteer fire departments are going to be on here soon. And one of the things that we're really keen on figuring out is we have placed 75% of the fire protection in the state onto volunteers, right? And that's fine, but you also have to understand what that means. And what we don't know is how much that costs. And this is something that this is a
good idea.
Well, no, see, it's interesting you say that. What we know is how much we spend. What we don't know is how much it should cost. And those are two very, very different questions. And so, you know, from a statewide perspective, the legislature is constantly being asked to change the revenue stream for volunteer fire departments. They want to raise the fee on insurance to pay for them. And if they need it, I'm all for that. But what I don't think we've ever done is done a really objective analysis of how many fire stations we have, where the population centers lie, who they're actually serving, and how much it's supposed to cost to do this. Because it's possible that it's cheaper to have professional fire. It's not inconceivable that there's a world out there where counties should be looking at professional firefighters in the same way that they look at sheriffs, right? And so is that true or not? I don't know. But what I know is that we don't have the data, and we've never done the analysis, and we've never actually objectively looked at what's the best way to do it. And we just, in so many other things we do in state government in West Virginia, we just keep pushing down the same path. And if it costs more, we spend more, but we never look at whether or not we're on the right path. And that's what this does, is it gives decision makers the ability to make decisions based on data. So I appreciate your guys' time again. I feel like I'm out here a lot. This one's a lot more fun than the last one for sure. And let us know what we can do to help. You know, this system is yours. You own it.
Yeah, follow up with me, please.
Anything you want to display, anything that's confusing, you own this system. We do not own your data. We do not own your system. We do not own your website. So any way you want it to be better, anything that's not working very well, anything that's confusing, let us know. We'll fix your site and we'll make it look exactly how you want and display the data for your constituents in the way that they want. And that's really, really important.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did we already give a list of the commissioners and the department heads, whoever should have their logins? Yeah.
I think we had approached that. I don't know if we have.
We haven't done the actual emails, just in the email, personalized emails that I can do that. when we get back to you.
Yeah, that's fair. I can do that in 30 seconds. Perfect.
I do, I actually have a statement. Our county administrator, John Nissel, couldn't be with us. He's at another meeting, but he wanted me to relay some information. So this is his statement. So he's saying we are excited that this program is being launched to bring more transparency to our constituents. And he would like to thank Michelle Gordon, his finance director, for setting up the system, and Tyler, and working with Bessie at the county clerk's office on this launch.
Awesome. Well, and we can't be more thankful for the staff too. Everyone from the top to bottom.
Yeah.
Top notch. Yeah, you guys really have.
Sometimes this is a bit of a struggle, and in this instance, it was the opposite.
Yes.
It was easy and fun. So
Thank you.
we appreciate you guys very much.
Do you have any estimate when the fire department information will be?
I don't. I really don't. I mean,
So the big barrier there, I can answer that. The big barrier there is their reporting.
Right.
And some of them are still keeping like their books on like napkins.
Right.
So,
No, I understand.
yeah, and so.
well, and what Skylar isn't telling you is 2 years ago, the legislature changed the audit process.
Yeah,
Volunteer fire departments. So it used to be in the legislative auditor's office.
Okay.
And they were doing about 6 a year out of 700. And then they moved it over to us. And I wasn't unhappy about that, but they certainly did not add any money or auditors to my staff. So what we really inherited was 700 audits that hadn't been done in 2 decades. And 99% of our volunteer fire departments are great,
Oh, no.
but 1% of them steal us blind. And so, what we found in these audits is that there's, when the fox is away, the chickens will play. I don't even know what it is, but when nobody's watching, there are certain places where that money gets misappropriated.
Well, and I'm very interested in what's going on in the rest of the part of the state compared to here too. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody's a crook.
So-
I just want to know.
Well, I'm not saying everyone's a crook. I'm saying some people are crooks. And there's the same percentage of crooks as in every single place, right? So there's the same amount of crooks working at a bank as there are working at a volunteer fire department, as there are working at the county commissioners, as there are working at the state. Right, 5% of people steal, whatever it is. And it doesn't matter where you are, you just have to have systems designed to stop them. What we always say is there's no small frauds, just ones we catch quickly. And so the long and the short of it is that we have to do, I think, a quarter of them a year, is that? It's either 20 or 25% of them is what we're statutorily mandated to do. So in 5 years, once we get all the audits done, we'll be able to compile that data and understand what actually happened. It's a giant undertaking, but it's totally worth it. It's worth it for the fire departments to do it the right way, and it's worth it for the fire departments that don't. It's actually totally worth it on both ends of that spectrum.
In these systems that we're setting up, especially the ones like the transparency portal, make that lift a lot less heavy. When we can have the data presented to us, from the comfortability of Charleston, rather than having to come up here, take their books out and, compare everything and reconcile everything. We can have it all in one place.
And they're basically all going to have a checkbook site, which is going to replace, most of them use QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And these people are not accountants, they're firemen. And then we ask them to do this other task, which they are, quite frankly, they don't want to do. They're pretty poorly trained on how to do it, and so it becomes a complete afterthought. Because what they're saying is if you wreck or your house catches on fire, you're not going to care whether or not I balanced my budget last month, which is actually true.
Well, and I'm very curious about fire departments statewide and how, they manage financially, but,
I am
it would
too.
be interesting too to compare sheriff's department compared to, population of the area they serve and all that. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate Charles' partnership on this, and I'll look forward to being out here again.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Y'all have a great election, okay? See you before then. Thank you. Good to see you. Absolutely. Nice to see you guys.
Gibby, you want any pictures?
Yeah,
We can
let's
show
get
you the
everybody.
background.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Commissioner.
Right, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You from here?
It was Jefferson County.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I gotta get home. I gotta cook dinner for my niece. It's her last day and there's something I cooked that she's. I would love to. So my mother-in-law makes a thing called chicken and polishki, which is like it's like a marrying chicken and dumplings. I just learned how to make it really good. She's flying home to San Antonio tomorrow.
Is there anything else come for the commission today? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you.